final exam last semester, I gave them this question. I said, if you were in charge of hurricane protection and coastal restoration, what would you do? And here's the answers I got. Most all of them said, utilize natural processes whenever possible. Number one. Then restore the barrier islands, not only for hurricane protection, but for recreation and
estuary,
recreation and aesthetic beauty. You know, this is, and also this is where the birds come. Roseate spoonbill, you name it.
Migratory rookeries.
Right, and then the restore the barrier island. The next thing they said, major diversions of the Mississippi River to create new land. Now that's the problem. That's going to be hard to do.
Because of all of the developments.
Too many people. Kerry St. Pierre, my good friend. Now, he's the guy, he's the director of the
Terrebonne estuary.
Right. And Kerry, when he comes and talks to our classes each semester. And when he came last year, he mentioned about pipelines. Well, I was a little skeptical of that at first, but now that I see, and now I've been working as associate with him, it's probably the only way we'll be able to do it, because we can put that sand where we want and not disturb it. You know, you're talking about. Now there's some problems with it. The actual flow of the sand will eat up the pipe. They even have a method of turning the pipe periodically to prolong it. When it wears thin, well, that's the cost of the thing. You need to replace the pipe. But there's a lot of abandoned pipelines, 36 inches under that we can use. And so this is diversions, which will build new land, restore the barrier islands, and now, understandably, we need protection levees. But you know, most scientists that I've talked to, and they say, yeah, but put your levees around communities.
Not around the wetlands.
No, I'm leery about this big Morganza thing that they're going to build, because it's going to be an earthen levee sitting out, and heck, you don't need a hurricane. The wave action's going to destroy it.
Well, when I've looked at the levee alignments, and of course, you know, all of the evidence from what happened with Katrina and Rita, it seems to me also that the destruction that was begat in St. Bernard and Chalmette to those, and St. Bernard, Chalmette, and New Orleans, to those communities, is a result of the levees. And if we if we build a ring around the levees, I'm very suspicious that it is just another excuse to pump out the wetlands and pave them over, and of course you have industrial and residential.
You know, another thing that most scientists agree on, I'm talking about not only geologists but biologists, and you have to have this balance of freshwater swamp, freshwater marsh, brackish water marsh, salt marsh, barrier islands, and this is a God-given place for shrimp, crabs, oysters. I mean, you know, we have it. It's and you know, they better start thinking about. I mean, I know there's a nice industry and money and all that stuff, but let me tell you something. With the population increase like that, we're gonna be running out of food. We're already running out of water, because every aquifer in the world is down right now. They're using up more than can be infiltrated back into the aquifer. You know, your aquifer is water buried. The Kentwood, the Abita Springs aquifer is down. In fact, there's so much development there that I understand now they're having to treat this wonderful groundwater, which started depositing during the Ice Age. And Ogallala, the big, huge aquifer, starting at the Texas Panhandle, going all the way up to Nebraska, it's half down. So these are, you know, we got to start thinking about those kind of things, because And what we around here, we need coastal restoration because we got plenty of places for people to live. They don't need to go and destroy these breeding grounds, you know. And it's not safe to live there anyway. You know, like right now. I mean, I was here when this. I'm 2 feet lower than when I bought this place, and I'm already looking for. I'm going to keep this as a. I've elevated everything, but I have to get out, and I've got a place to high ground where I go. We're fixing to buy some property. All my kids are all putting in, and because two of them live in New Orleans, so they got to get out, and we're going to go to between Thibodeau and Raceland. The elevation along Bayou Lafourche is 10 feet at Raceland. That's on the, that's near the bayou, you know, the natural levees. And at Thibodeau it's around 12, and Labadeville is 15 feet. So go back to Bayou Lafourche. And I remember my grandmother was so proud when people said, "Where are you from?" I said, "Well, I'm from Bayou Lafourche." You know, like that was. But you know, Bayou Lafourche was really something in 1850. It was 200 sugar plantations. Louisiana was the richest state in the Union. New Orleans, the #1 port. There were more millionaires in Louisiana than with sugar. And of course, that was a nice side. It was a dark side too, because so
Well, you know, my own policy and research. One of the gentlemen who I discovered through this research, besides your own work, was Professor Oliver Houck at Tulane.
Oh yeah,
He's, environmental law.
Oh yeah.
And he had a wonderful essay, which it has an unfortunate title. It's called "Can We Save New Orleans?" But about a third of it is really dedicated to Terrebonne.
Right.
So in the immediate aftermath of you know, living in San Francisco, you know, where I've been for 10 years, it was something I never experienced before. When now we have advance notice of a hurricane, we can see about what size it is.
Right.
There's this very crude measurement called the Saffir-Simpson scale, category 1 through 5.
Right.
I don't think it's really sufficient to characterize a storm, because a storm has many aspects. There's the size of it, the wind, the tidal surge, and also the apex of the surge. It's always assumed to be right where the eye is, but recent evidence shows that the apex of the surge is impacted by the profile of the basin.
You're exactly right. And Rita is a good example. Okay, Andrew came just to the west of us. It hit right around, just on the other side of Morgan City. Andrew was moving in. I don't remember the speed, but he came in fast. Rita stayed south of us for 5 days. 5 days, the wind blew out of the south, 80, 90 miles an hour. Although Rita hit the west Louisiana, southwest, east Texas coast, southwest Louisiana, we got more water. We didn't have any high water for Andrew. You know, I mean, it just not much. But
it did also have a false sense of security after the
right,
hurricane.
but Rita was moving at 7 miles an hour. You see, and it stayed out in the Gulf. It was moving so slow, 7 miles an hour. Somebody told me there was, I don't know, 12, over 10 feet or something, water at Cocoa Drain. You know, and we had right at 4 feet of water when we were here.
And
so,
when the hurricane stays south, it has a lot of force that pushes water against the shelf, which forms a bubble.
Right. And then if it's going slow, it's coming with a storm surge. Andrew had a pretty good sized storm surge, but it didn't stay long enough to build up that surf to push all that water, which is what Rita did. Rita was sluggish and stayed out in the Gulf. It took it 5 days. I don't remember. And so what
The water goes up.
Right, the whole Gulf of Mexico came up onto the shore of South Louisiana, and the storm surge where it hit at Cameron was, I think, 24 feet. But we didn't have that much water here. But we had. I really don't know what it was at Cocodrillos down here, but it was 4 feet here, and it almost came. But now, moving slow, like it was, had it hit just to the west of us, we'd had all that pile up of wind-blown waves. You see, plus that bubble in the middle of the eye, then we'd have had 24 feet of water here, which means you'd have had 10 feet of water in the courthouse.